Well, hello, hello there, everybody. Kyle Neddenriep here, joined by Akeem Gillespie. And Akeem, we had a countdown this week. How'd you like that?
That was something. That was I feel like very special. I feel like I'm at the movies or something.
I didn't even know that was going to happen. What a pleasant surprise. You might notice I've got some scores at the bottom. I don't have all the scores plugged in, but did put some in there, and I was hoping to get that updated here as we go along. But Akeem, wanted to start with your game. You were at Lawrence Central tonight against Warren Central, and looked like I read your brief story there, but looked like J.J. Finch had quite a game tonight.
Yeah, he made a lot of plays in the first half. In the second half, it was Dexter Smith with a big interception. But yeah, the Warren defensive line was kind of depleted. I was talking to the coach after the game, and the jumbo package that they had JJ in, they couldn't use anymore because they lost so many linemen. So what started as a really good, what was going to be a really big game for JJ was just kind of a good game for JJ because the defense kind of wore down a little bit as the game progressed. But like I said, Dexter Smith had the big interception to kind of seal the win there in the second half.
31-21, Warren Central wins it. And kind of take us through this game. It looked like Warren got off to a 14-point lead, and I want to get your impressions too on Keon Thomas, who I really like as a running back. Definitely a Division I player. I know he's been up to Purdue recently. Has some offers, but I guess first off, what do you think about him? What do you think about Keon Thomas?
Yeah, Keon has juice. I would say both running backs are really good. Albert Gooden was also very impressive. Gooden had a 69-yard touchdown on a screen pass where he kind of showed off his speed. That actually came 2 plays after Keon fumbled. So that was kind of, I'm sure Keon was not happy about the fumble, but when he did have other than the fumble, he made a lot of good plays, really good in short yardage, had 2 short yardage touchdowns. He's explosive. Like I said, I like to say a player has juice. Definitely has juice when he has the ball in his hands. So, yeah, definitely a very talented player and kind of made plays on offense when Warren needed them.
And so take us through a little bit. It was 14-point lead. What was it? So they had a 14-point lead, and then I guess Gooden and Santana Allen kind of got it going a little bit.
Yeah, so Warren led 14-0 after the first quarter. Allen couldn't get anything going. I believe he had his first 5 passes were incomplete. The Warren defensive line was just kind of just harassing him, the entire first quarter. And then he started to kind of find his groove. He hit Antonio Williams for a 17-yard touchdown, or I think it was 20-something yard touchdown late in the fourth quarter. So they went into late in the second quarter, sorry. So they went to halftime 14-7, and then Thomas fumbles, Gooden 69-yard touchdown, and then it's 14-14. And then the teams are going back and forth scoring. Thomas scores, and then Santana and Williams score again. So it's 21-21 at the end of the third quarter, and then Thomas 5-yard touchdown early in the fourth put him up 28-21, and that's when Dexter Smith gets his interception, ending the back and forth. And then then they, instead of scoring and using the jumbo packs to score, they had to kick a field goal. So that's where we get to 31-21 for the final score there.
Well, and just I know you talked to Warren after the game. Just what kind of this has been a Lawrence Central team that's kind of come on and played pretty well. They lost the opener to Lawrence North, but only by a touchdown, and have really put off pretty good offensive numbers these really the whole season up to this point. Allen's had huge numbers. Santana Allen's had big numbers throughout the first 3 games of the season, the former Cardinal Ritter quarterback. But what kind of sense did you get from Warren's staff and players after the win tonight?
Yeah, talking to Coach Whitaker after the game, I mean, he said he knew they were going to be tested. I mean, LC had scored 100 points over its last 2 games, so they knew they were going to be tested. And then, but they kind of just really trusted his defense. And then talking to Dexter Smith, he was like, "Well, it's bend, don't break." Like that's kind of what I told my guys: trust your keys and just trust your teammates. And on that interception, Santana Allen goes empty. So then Smith knows that he's the QB spy. He drops deep in his zone and gets the pick. I mean, Santana was 13-0 in terms of touchdowns and interceptions heading into the game. So that was his first interception of the season coming in the fourth quarter. That was a really big play that sealed the game. So just kind of I think the Warren defense knew that they were going to get tested, but they stayed, just together when they could have easily started pointing fingers. I mean, a 69-yard touchdown on a screen pass, that's not something you want to see on film the next day, but they stayed together and they made the big play when they needed to.
Warren Central now 3-1, have won 3 games since that opening loss to Center Grove. Lost that one 24-6, but then, beat Warsaw, beat North Central, and then probably their toughest. Well, I guess you could say Warsaw's a good team as well, but probably their toughest test since then tonight, and now go to Ben Davis next week, which should be another interesting game. Warren's got a little bit of I actually liked it when I saw them play Center Grove. Thomas, they really leaned on a lot. What was the quarterback play tonight like for Warren? Jack Quillen's been the guy these last couple of weeks. How did he look tonight?
Yeah, Quillen was definitely the more just the guy that moved the chains the most. I mean, they weren't asking either quarterback to do a lot between Goss and Quillen. Goss had an interception in the first half, but he's a really talented runner. He seemed to be really moving the chains as a running quarterback, but Quillen was kind of more on time when they needed to pass and just kind of really move the chains that way. But other than Thomas, the Warren offense was a little up and down, but in crunch time, they went to Quillen, and he made some nice completions when they needed to, because, again, Goss seemed to be struggling a little bit in terms of a passer. And even they put him in short yardage as well, because he's a big guy and he can run, but didn't get it in, and that's why they needed to kick that field goal, because they had several attempts around the 5. Then they had a holding call that put them – so they had, 3rd and goal from the 20, which was kind of tough. But no, Quillen had a really good game between the two quarterbacks. I think they played equally, but Quillen was kind of the one that got it done tonight.
Yeah, it's interesting. He didn't play at all in the opener. They went with Dennison and Goss, and then have played Quillen a lot more here these last 3 weeks, obviously. So that's been, I don't think they're going to lean heavily on the pass with, they like the running back, obviously, Thomas. So, but you got to be able to pass, especially in 6A. But yeah, pretty good game tonight. I mean, overall, just Akeem, what'd you think of both teams, just generally, and pretty smooth game for you tonight?
Well, I mean, no, because I thought it looked like Warren was going to run away early. I was like, oh man, we might have a running clock situation, after a 14-0 lead in the first quarter. But no, credit LC, they continued to chip away, and I was excited to see Santana Allen coming into the game, and he has a lot of really talented receivers. Antonio Williams is kind of a small, shifty guy. A lot of smaller, shifty guys, but they love to find the holes in the zone, and they're very talented when the ball's in the air. So it was fun to see that offense and the way they move the ball through the air. I mean, I wanted to see more Albert Gooden. I mean, he's a really talented guy. It's kind of tough when you're trailing, but he's a big play guy as well. So yeah, LC is definitely I like their offense. They're a capable offense, and JJ Finch kind of lived up to the hype as well. When you're an Alabama commit, people expect you to make plays, and he was disruptive. He had a sack, and how many people can get a sack and a touchdown in the same game? So he's definitely the truth in that aspect. So yeah, I think both teams kind of showed what they can do and kind of lived up to the billing.
Yeah, JJ Finch is a uniquely talented player. Albert Gooden, the third, his grandfather was the Lawrence Central basketball coach. One of my favorite people to talk to, but yeah, it's pretty cool lineage there. Since has retired, and I'm sure he was at the game tonight following his grandson. But Akeem, thanks for joining me. And I don't have an 30-second outro to count you out here. I don't think.
We'll see.
Unless something pops up here that I wasn't aware of. But appreciate you coming on with me. And again, what was your final? Was
31-21.
31-21. Warren Central wins it tonight. Akeem, thanks for popping on here.
Yep, anytime.
All right, man. Just real quickly, wanted to touch on my game. Fischers and HSC tonight, and Fischers wins it 28-16. Fischers was just kind of jumped all over HSC from the beginning. It was 21-0 at the end of the first quarter. HSC got back in it. It was 21-10 at the end of the second, and HSC had a chance, fourth down at around the Fischers 10, I would say. Could have kicked a field goal, went for it on 4th and 3, didn't get it. Fischers comes right back, and it didn't score, but they were able to run out a lot of the first half clock, and then eventually did score in the third quarter on a Gage Sturgill. Somehow, you can watch the video. I don't know how he was able to avoid everybody and get through that defense of HSC and avoid the sideline, got all the way to the end zone. That made it 28-10, and it was kind of keep away from there a little bit for Fischers that, in the second half. Terry Walker, the third, unfortunately got injured, and, no certain word on the severity, but didn't look good. I mean, he was family in tears, and, he's on crutches after the game. So definitely wishing him the best for sure. I, told him that after the game and his dad, but didn't look great. So hopefully he's able to come back and play. And HSC lost a couple linemen too. It was just that kind of a night, unfortunately, in the second half where a lot of injuries happened. But on the other side, Fischers, it was a great atmosphere. I mean, you can't beat it. 10,000 people were here at the game tonight, and just an awesome, awesome atmosphere as usual, and as you would expect for this game. But yeah, Gage Sturgill ended up 86 rushing yards, including that big 54-yarder. 11 for 20 passing for 174. Ryan Timbellembu had 105 yards on 16 carries and also caught a 15-yard touchdown pass. And, that's just a very dynamic offense that they have. Good skill position. Not a huge team necessarily, but, as far as the line goes. But man, they really have skill position guys who can go. Elsewhere, we had some other big scores tonight. Brownsburg beat Avon 55-47, one of the wilder scores that you will see. And I wanted to bring on Rob Brown, who did the game for ISC tonight, Sports Network. Rob, you had quite a game tonight. There was a lot of points scored. All kinds of wild things happening tonight. So I don't even know where to start. But what can you tell me about the Hendricks County rivalry game tonight?
It's been a wild night, Kyle. I'm coming to you live from the Avon McDonald's. My phone is on fumes. It was like the Woodstock parking lot trying to get out of Avon. It took me about 25 minutes to get out of the parking lot. It's a late night here in Avon. The teams combined for 102 points and 1,100 yards of offense tonight. Just some video game numbers all the way around. We'll start with the winners. Aiden Job, who was our player of the game on the broadcast, the senior tailback for Brownsburg. Job had 3. I got to look at my notes here. Job had 3 rushing touchdowns and ran for 206. He also caught an 81-yard screen pass for a touchdown. So he had almost 300 yards of offense and 4 scores. Oscar Fry, the junior quarterback for Brownsburg, was fantastic. These are my unofficial numbers kept on the fly, but I had him 12 for 18 for 3 touchdowns and 259. And then you go to the Avon side, they lost their, top returning tailback in Ashton Carter week 1. So they've been kind of going by committee, and Andre Warfield, who was one of their leading rushers coming in. Warfield had 111 yards through the first 3 games. Here's his numbers tonight. 282 on 20 carries.
Oh, wow.
282 on 20 carries. He had runs of, you ready? 60, 72, and 76.
Wow.
And amazingly, only one of those found the end zone. But he still had 3 touchdowns. It was just a spectacular back and forth. Give all the credit to really to both teams, but Rob Gibson's guys. There were so many occasions where they could have buckled and gone away tonight. And they just had an answer time and time again. And actually, after trailing by 18, cut it to 3 a minute into the fourth quarter. But Brownsburg, showed why they're the number 1 team in the state, why they're the defending champions, why they're nationally ranked. They answered that with a long drive, and that's when Job got his last rushing touchdown of the night to push it back to a double-figure lead, and then forced Avon into a punt. Then Brownsburg came back with another drive and scored and made it 55-39. But then Avon came back and scored and got a 2-point conversion and made it a 1-score game, which ultimately ended up being the final. But then Avon could not recover the onside kick with about 100 seconds left, and then Brownsburg ran the clock out to hold on for the 8-point win.
Well, that's quite a game. I don't know if anybody expected that. It's cool. Job had, he was out last year with an injury, so cool to see him be able to come back and have a big game and a good start to his season. But yeah, that's wild. I was impressed with Avon last week against HSC. Really thought in a lot of ways they probably should have won that game or could have won that game and didn't. But to see them come back like that tonight and give Brownsburg all they could handle, very impressive performance. And hard to.
I'm gonna go audio only and throw my phone in the charger. So keep talking.
I got you, Rob. Yeah, but just a wild game all around.
Again, Kyle, you come away with positive feelings about both programs from the standpoint of, Brownsburg showed why it's the number 1 team in the state. And you walk out of there from an Avon perspective. And my partner, Lance Scheib, said this multiple times down the stretch of the broadcast that, year 3 of Rob Gibson being the head man at Avon, that is definitely a program that is ascending. And you really see positive things and a true feeling of belief in what that program has going for it right now.
Absolutely. And I felt that last week too. You can see the progress. I was impressed with Warfield and really the defense. I thought, obviously tonight they had trouble with Brownsburg. A lot of people have, but yeah, that's just a good athletic team. I thought that could potentially be a close game into the second half. And it makes you wonder about the second game they could play against each other down the road in the sectional, because that could be really interesting as well.
For sure. And we didn't really talk about that in the broadcast tonight, but that certainly, I think, is looming and is in the back of your mind. You think about a meeting in late October or early November. One of the things that my partner brought up tonight that I think is on the mind of any defensive coordinator who faces Avon, or faces Brownsburg rather, they have so many offensive weapons that you scheme and take somebody away, somebody else is going to beat you. And tonight, Avon doubled Brandon Sharp on every play, and Sharp had 1 catch for -2 yards.
Wow.
Now, there probably isn't going to be another box score you're going to see the rest of the season where he has those numbers. But as a result, you had Aiden Job and Brady Lewis combined for almost 350 yards rushing, because those outside lanes were open because that extra defensive back or that extra linebacker was covering Sharp. You can't take everything. Brownsburg has so many weapons, you can't take everything away. And those play callers for Brownsburg are so skilled, they recognize what the open option is that's not taken away, and they just exploit it. There's just too many weapons. And eventually, they just pound away and find that advantage. And, they still found a way to put 55 on the board tonight.
Well, great game tonight, Rob. Appreciate you making the effort here. I know it's not ideal. I was kind of stuck in the parking lot as well, so you're not alone. There was
you were in a game with 10. You were in a game with 10,000 people tonight.
I was. So I kind of knew that would be the case. And it doesn't matter if you leave a half hour after the game's over, the line is still crazy. So, but yeah, hey, you get what you get 10,000 people at a game. It's kind of, that's what you expect. So it's okay. I'm glad that all these people were here.
It was entertaining. We had an SRO crowd at our game tonight, and it was a great atmosphere. Enthusiastic crowd on both sides, and we were just pleased to be a part of it. Thanks for having me on tonight.
Absolutely. Thanks, Rob. We'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Kyle.
Well, from Rob Brown, we go to Rich Torres. And Rich, remind me where you were at tonight. I'm forgetting now.
I was over at Indian Creek tonight. But hey, I want to know where's my theme song, man? I'm coming in strong here at the end, right? We talked about this, so
I know I'm having enough trouble trying. I did have you'll have to go back and watch. Akeem had like a 30-second countdown thing that I had no idea that was about to play. So maybe
nice.
Something will pop up that I don't even know. I'm not even aware of
We're gonna make this more sophisticated as we go, man. I think if Akeem's introducing that like sound effects and stuff, we need graphic elements. We need to hype this thing up, man.
I know.
But yeah, I was at Indian Creek, man. I was at Indian Creek.
We're starting from a very low level, obviously, but we can work our way up. But so you had Indian. That's what I thought you had. In Indian Creek, I saw this score at halftime, and I thought it was could be a misprint or something. It was 28-0. And it doesn't sound like it was a misprint at all, because they went on to finish off Beech Grove 42-0. Tell us. I mean, I was surprised by this score. You saw it firsthand. How did this kind of come about tonight?
Well, I finished my story. It's already in, and people will be able to read it. But one element from that story I'm going to extract is motivation. And Indian Creek had no lack of it whatsoever. They were 3-0 coming in. It's been a while since they've been 3-0. I want to say 2014 was the last time they started out this good. And the conference opener on top of that, the Hoosier Legends Conference, and then I found this out after the game. I guess some of the Beech Grove players went out to their 50-yard line and stomped on it before the game. And they caught wind of it. The Braves caught wind of that, and that was the motivator they needed. So they came out, scored first on their first possession after their defense shut down Beech Grove 4-and-out. And they just kept going, man. It was impressive. Their defense came out. They had 3 sacks, 2 picks. They forced, let's see, I want to make sure I get this right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. 2 turnover on downs and a forced fumble on a handoff that got botched up, and they recovered that fumble. Offensively, it was all about sophomore quarterback Evan Clark. He had a passing touchdown, obviously, on the first drive to his senior wide receiver, Jackson Ramey. And then he rushed in 2 others, one that went 30 yards. His passing was very efficient, 8 of 10.
Wow.
His longest connection was 56 yards, and the touchdown that went to Ramey was 21 yards. They were just efficient. They came out offensively. They obviously they punted a few times. They didn't score every drive, but they were very efficient from the get, and they were motivated. And this team under Coach Max Gooden, year 2 now, you can see that shift into a well-established culture and a belief. And when it's your homecoming night, and you're facing another unbeaten team, so it's a battle of unbeatens and a conference foe at that. I mean, it wasn't your typical homecoming kind of matchup, but it ended up turning into one for Indian Creek. And kudos to them. They came on, they played a great game. Like I said, defensively, they shut down very high-powered Beech Grove offense.
I was going to say, Rich, Beech Grove had come in. They really turned some heads. They beat Greenfield Central in the opener, which I think surprised a lot of people. Then the last 2 weeks have really just dominated Jennings County and Cecina. And, I would not have expected this to be this lopsided of a game. But, you mentioned Max Gooden of Indian Creek and very highly thought of when he came from Decatur Central as a coordinator to Indian Creek. And, he's definitely proved proved it so far with the young, had a young quarterback. Like you said, Clark, sophomore now, was a freshman starter last year even. So, but yeah, very impressive win tonight. One of the eye turning or head turning scores of the night, I would say, just by, the dominance of the way they played tonight. But how did Indian Creek kind of go about stopping Beech Grove? Because to hold them to 0, that's maybe the biggest surprise of all.
Yeah, the pocket pressure was pretty intense, and it was pretty much throughout the game. Those 3 sacks, like I said, those were official, but there were so many QB hurries and pressures. I lost track. I really couldn't track to see who specifically was doing it because it was a lot of them. They were going after Beech Grove's quarterback more. And he's a tall kid. He's
Yeah.
6'6", and they were batting down passes. So, they were getting so close that his throwing motion was disrupted. His check down process was obviously disrupted too. And you add all that in with the fact that they also shut down Parks as far as rushing goes. They kind of took away both elements, the passing and the rushing attack. I had them for a combined 73 yards of total offense for the game.
Wow.
So when you look at how they outscored their opponents, I think it was 132-23 in 3 weeks, and then they were limited to 73 yards in total offense. They took away the rushing attack first, and then they went in and they just pressured the heck out of them in the pocket, and that just basically equated to a lot of uh, failed third down conversions. And when you get to that point, you have to get rid of the ball, and their defense couldn't really slow down their attack. And like I said, Clark really managed the game well, and he can run too. And that's the thing. He's a dual threat in a way. He's not flashy, but he's efficient. And I talked to him after the game a little bit about, like you said, he was a freshman starter, and he looks back on that, and he admits he's just like, that was rough. It was tough to do that. He made a lot of mistakes, and this year his goal is to be smart with the football. So he's going to make the pass when he can, tuck and run when he sees an opening, find space. And that is kind of their philosophy. Really, is just kind of find space, rely on everyone. Don't just telegraph what you're going to do. Deceive as much as you can, and just stay in the flow. And I love the fact that they have so many mottos for this team. I mean, and they're kind of hanging their hat on a lot of them. So like sharpen the spear is one of the mottos that Coach Gooden has, where every day you're getting better for that run potentially at sectional, and they're looking at that, and that's another motto they have is Operation 31. So they're focused on sectional 31 and getting that title, which would, if they do achieve it, would be the first one since 2011.
Wow.
So these seniors that are on the team, and then these younger guys, they all have the same mindset, and that's let's take the doubters, the naysayers, the fuel that they're giving us, and add it to our fire, and let's just go out there and prove people wrong. And after they beat Greenwood, and now they beat Beech Grove, they're feeling pretty good, but they're not satisfied. They're going to keep going, keep going.
And Indian Creek they have a really tough game next week against
They
LaPel,
do.
very good state ranked team in Class 2A, and then they get back into their. I like this Hoosier Legends Conference. There's some good teams in it. They play Tri-West in 2 weeks. That'll be a really good matchup, and then Triton Central also state ranked in 2A. So you've got some really good teams coming up on the docket that these next 3 weeks that will tell you a lot. But we obviously learned a lot about them tonight in this win over Beech Grove as well. But tougher. You would think some tougher tests coming, or maybe they're just this good and they win every game 42-0. I guess we'll find out.
I think it's a little bit of everything at the same time. Like you said, I mean, they have some true tests. I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to go unbeaten all year, because I mean that's hard to do. But I think that they're always going to be in the game. Based on what I saw tonight, they don't really make many mistakes that hurt themselves. They stay within the game script and within what the defense is offering them. And that's really what opened up a lot of the plays that they had. I can't say that they were just really efficient on third down. They were efficient on all 4 downs. So when they needed a big play, they got it. It helps playing at home, and like I said, it was homecoming. The crowd was pretty hyped, and it was a good sized crowd for them. And and they just wanted to go out there and like I mentioned, just kind of prove a point. to a team that came in red hot. And Beech Grove is going to be a good team. I think they just kind of ran into a situation where they made some mistakes that they'd like to get back. And they ran into a really good defense, a defense that was charged up. So I think that lapel game for Indian Creek next week is going to tell us a little bit more about how much they've matured, what level they're at. If they can keep it close or win that thing, who knows? You might see them climb up those state rankings that a lot of us are fortunate enough to contribute to. So
Yes, and thank you for doing that, Rich. I appreciate you guys.
Well, you
taking
compile
part.
them all, so I mean,
I do. So yeah, give me all the credit. But no, I appreciate everybody doing that. And you can find that we have those every Monday at 6 p.m. on the site on IndyStar, and you can find those elsewhere as well. But yeah, thanks, Rich. Indian Creek is number 10 this week in our USA Today Network Indiana poll, and they will play. Like I said, they have number 9 Tri-West. They're 9 in 3A. Triton Central is 4 in 2A, and Lapel's 3 in 2A. So some really tough opponents coming up. But Rich, appreciate you coming on, and you can sing your closing song if you want to, or I'll find something for you.
Now I want to keep all three. I want to keep all 3 viewers we have, man. I don't want to. I don't want to rush them off.
That's right. That's right. Don't lose everybody. So, all right, man. Thanks for doing it. See you, Rich.
No problem.
All right. Well, thanks to our guests tonight, Keem, Rob, and Rich Torres. Wanted to go through some of the games. I touched on my game a little bit. Fischers again wins that Mudsock game 28-16. The rivalry game, great crowd again. I mean, it's hard to believe you could have this great of a crowd for a high school game, but it never disappoints. The game wasn't as crazy, I think, as some of the games we've seen in recent years, or as close down to the wire. But part of that is Fischers just came out. And once you get a 21-0 lead, it kind of changes the dynamics of the game. HSC did get back into it at 21-10. It had a chance to get closer, didn't, and then sort of never did have that opportunity again. Fischers kind of struggled a little bit with penalties. They had a touchdown wiped off the board. They just had put themselves in some 3rd and long situations because of penalties, but eventually got that touchdown to make it 28-10. The one I mentioned, Sturgill had that run up the sideline and then kind of cut it back across the field. And again, Terry Walker injured in this game, didn't look great, possibly, family was not, obviously they were in tears, and, you hope for the best and maybe get a better result, but it didn't look great for him. So hopefully he can play again, but, don't know for sure on that until the family finds out more. Rob mentioned he was talking about the Brownsburg game, 55-47, just a wild one. Again, that could be a potential rematch in the sectional between those teams. And going through some of the other games tonight, Keem talked about Warren LC. Warren won that game 31-21. Indian Creek beat Beech Grove 42-0. That Rich was at. Cathedral tonight beat Chittard, had to come back to win that game 23-20. Cathedral trailed in this game by 13 points, 13-0. Got a touchdown at the end of or actually got 2 field goals in the second quarter to make it 13-6 at halftime. This game was played at Butler, and then they were able to draw even at the end of the third quarter, going into the fourth, and then got a field goal from Van Krisseloff with less than a minute remaining from 46 yards out. So he was on our super team kicker. He's going to Eastern Michigan, and he's on there for a reason. If you can kick a 46-yarder in a pressure situation like that, that obviously is huge. And really, Chittard, impressive again in a loss, I would say. And, I don't know, they're ranked number 1 in Class 4A. I don't know if they should fall because of that loss. I mean, I guess we'll find out when the new rankings come out. But yeah, I mean, that's not a bad loss at all. Center Grove beat Ben Davis 63-35, wild game. Center Grove was leading in this game. I think it was 28-7, 28-0 at one point, actually. Ben Davis climbed back into it, made it a game. It was 35-28 going into halftime, and then Center Grove again kind of pushed on the gas in the second half and ran away. Center Grove was dealing with some injuries as well. Did not have Nolan Reese or Drake McClurg in this one. and probably won't for a while, but still able to roll up a lot of rushing yards. Winkler had 143 tonight. Lang had 90. And Oscar Sloan didn't have to throw a lot, but he was efficient, 6 for 8 for 160 yards. So Center Grove figuring some things out with some new offensive or without some important offensive players. Mooresville beat Greenwood tonight 43-21. Connor Cruz 5 touchdown passes in that game for Mooresville in the win over Greenwood. Elsewhere, we had Lebanon beat Marion 42-14. Lebanon's been putting up some points. Big win for Roncalli tonight, 41-20 over Columbus North. Columbus North had come in. They were kind of rising in the 6A rankings, had gone up to number 7 this week, so they will surely drop down after that loss. Roncalli, that's a good win coming off the loss to Chittard last week. So good bounce back win. Cascade beat North Montgomery 63-26. Go through some of the some of the ranked teams too while we're at it. Carmel lost to Louisville Trinity 41-28. Trinity had jumped out all over Carmel in that game, and Carmel had come back, but fall short in the comeback attempt. I'm curious what that means. I don't know what that means exactly. Louisville Trinity is a very good team traditionally every year. That's not a bad loss, but I know kind of gives Kevin Wright and the Greyhounds something to work on moving forward. Losing that game on the road tonight. Elsewhere in Class 6A, Crown Point rolled 42-0 over Lake Central. Like I mentioned, HSC ranked 5th, lost to Fischers. Westfield dominates Noblesville 41-7. Penn wins, Avon loses, and Lawrence North won 55-21 over North Central. In Class 5A, New Pal beat Mount Vernon. New Pal ranked number 1 in 5A, 71-0. That's a pretty big number against Mount Vernon tonight in the Boundary Rail game. Plainfield, number 3 in 5A, beat Perry Meridian 41-6. Bloomington South beat Bloomington North tonight 36-7. South ranked 2nd in 5A. Lafayette Jeff won again, beat Harrison 47-26. They're 5th in 5A. East Central won, Merrillville wins, Warsaw, Concord, and Castle all win, all 5A teams. Heritage Hills had no trouble with Southridge. They're number 2 in Class 4A, 45-0. And, looking down the list, just doesn't look like a night where there was a ton of upsets, at least for teams that are ranked in the top 10 in the 4 classes. Memorial Evansville beat Mater Dei tonight, 28-21 in overtime. That was an outstanding matchup of teams ranked highly in Class 3A. Memorial actually number 1 and Mater Dei number 7. So both teams in the top 10 in that class. Also, and running down just, some of the scores in our area, again, Cascade beat North Montgomery 63-26. Addicts beats Crystal House 46-0. Danville, in a close one, beats Hamilton Heights 27-24. Decatur Central 75, Martinsville 6. Franklin Central wins tonight over Zionsville 20-16. Guerin Catholic beats Brebeuf 36-25. Heritage Christian 23, Covenant Christian 13. LaPel beat Muncie Central 42-14. Mentioned Lawrence North beat North Central 55-21. Let's see, ones that I haven't mentioned. Pendleton Heights stays undefeated, 43-14, and wanted to mention that game because Pendleton Heights goes to New Pal next week, and I believe that game's at New Pal. Pendleton Heights ranked 7th in Class 4A this week, and yeah, that game is at New Pal, so that sets up as an interesting game, and I don't know if anybody can touch New Pal this year, especially in the regular season, but maybe that's the toughest matchup they'll have. Both those teams will come in undefeated into that game. Shelbyville beats Newcastle 35-21. Pike beats Southport 48-0. Plainfield beat Perry 41-6. Sheridan beat Clinton Central 40-0. South Putnam 33. Eastern Hancock 19. Tri-West 63, Speedway 21, Triton Central 24, Monrovia 14, Western Boone 76, Newcastle 34, Westfield, mentioned them, beat Noblesville 41-7, and Whiteland beat Franklin in a rivalry game. That one was 21-14. So I think that is about all the scores that we had, at least as far as right now. You can find more IndyStar.com. We'll have plenty of highlights, video highlights, game stories, lots of other goodies, and we'll have throughout the weekend more coverage, obviously, and more coming early next week as well. It's kind of the usual things. The rankings will come out Monday. My Monday wrap-up column will come out Monday morning, and I'll do my snap judgments will run Sunday morning. So look for all that. Again, thanks for joining me, and thanks to our guests for coming on. It's a wild night of football. There's a lot of, the Brownsburg Avon game especially, but a lot of interesting games, and I think we'll continue to see that throughout the rest of the regular season as we get into the playoffs, which aren't all that far off. So again, thanks for joining me here, and we will talk to you next time. Thank you.